Good morning guys, welcome back. In today's video I would like to talk a little bit about the subject when your dog is struggling a bit while hiking and backpacking. Because when I'm out with Ravi and after my videos, I quite often get questions from people that how it can be possible that Ravi is so relaxed out on the trail, so relaxed at camp and just sleeping and snoring away in the tent like he's done that forever. And that made me decide to make a video about this subject. I am going to divide it into day hiking and backpacking, and I'm going to give you some tips. Well, I must admit, I am blessed with a dog who absolutely loves to be in the outdoors. Ravi is enthusiastic all the time. He is happy to be off when I am packing the bag, when I'm packing his harness, and he's jumping around and getting excited. And no matter what kind of trail we do, he loves it. Makes, of course, the difference that I always choose trails that I know that he likes, he prefers. So I'm doing nothing to force him to hike in environments that he absolutely hates, because that doesn't bring anything. You heard me say it more often. Just the hikes to your dogs. And Max, for example, is a dog who doesn't like to be outside that much as Ravi is. Well, she likes to be outside, but not on the trails and not long day hikes. No overnighters, let alone be long distance hikes. So that is the first thing. First tip for both hiking and backpacking: make sure that your dog likes it, because if your dog has an attitude, so to say, of not like being out there, then you can do whatever you want. You can use everything you have within hands to convince your dog. But if your dog is not liking it, it's not going to work. So that's the first important thing. And when you're noticing that your dog absolutely does not like being out on the trail, either it's day hiking or backpacking, then accept that fact and accept the fact that this is not going to be the thing for your dog to do, and don't take him or her out on the trail. So for day hiking, it's always very important to adjust the length of the hike to your dog, the environment, like I mentioned here before, and make sure that there is an interaction between you and your dog. If you see that your dog is struggling a bit, do not force your dog. Just encourage your dog to do something. If your dog, for example, is afraid of crossing the water, make sure to check maybe 100 meters up the trail, 200 meters down the trail, whether there's a bridge that you can use to cross it. And if that's not, and you are able to carry your dog, for example, Ravi is a small dog, that's not a problem for me, carry your dog over the water. Do not force your dog to do it, just encourage it. And if you can encourage your dog to go through the water, no matter how many treats you're using, make sure that you have enough with you. It doesn't matter. It is about supporting your dog, and be sure that there's an interaction between the two of you, and not that you're having a dog on the leash and, well, come on. No, it's just the two of you, and whatever it is that your dog is struggling with, encourage your dog to go over it. Make it fun, and then it will be a lot easier for your dog as well. And if you're noticing that your dog is a little bit hesitant of a lot of things on trail, it might be scared or just a little bit hesitant because he or she doesn't know it, then try to make sure that you, if you are able to, having a hiking buddy for your dog, a friend of your dog who he loves to play with and that you know very well. You know the owner well, the dogs know each other well, and they can encourage each other. And then do not take two dogs that are both afraid or not feeling well out on the trail, but make sure that you are taking a second dog that gets really exciting from being in the outdoors, who gets really enthusiastic, likes to jump on things, climb over things, likes to cross water, things like that. So your dog can see from another more experienced dog that he doesn't have to be afraid, that it can be fun. And that is a great way to encourage a dog that's a little bit more hesitant. And if your dog is hesitant out on the trail, make sure that you're taking a lot of breaks, because if your dog is a little bit afraid, hesitant, whatever you would like to call it, a lot goes on in their mind, and getting things done in your mind makes a dog very tired. So make sure that you're taking a lot of breaks, and during that breaks, be there for your dog. Cuddle each other, have some time together. If your dog can settle down, just make sure that he or she takes the rest that is so much needed. And no matter how many breaks that you take, whatever, take a break every 15 minutes just to get your dog to settle out on the trail. Because if your dog is hesitant or afraid, you're not going out anyway for hours. So just take it slowly and take a lot of breaks so your dog can process everything up here. And my last tip in regards to the day hiking section is that if your dog is hesitant or afraid out on the trail, then make sure that you're doing shorter hikes to begin with from your own home. Do not go out on a vacation for several weeks in a strange environment, a new home, places he does not know, where he or she does not feel good, or there's nothing that he or she is familiar with and knows. So that is extra layer of stress that you are adding to hikes if those hikes already are a bit of a struggle for your dog. So start at home with short little hikes and then start building it up. So the things I just mentioned in regards to day hiking also apply to backpacking, and backpacking is of course a little bit of a step further. If your dog is struggling with day hikes already, please do not go too fast, because if you go too fast, take your dog out on a backpacking trip or even a long distance hike and forcing your dog day after day, then things will go wrong at the end. So nobody will have fun, and I think that your relationship in regards to hiking will be ruined forever. So always make sure for yourself that your dog is really able of going that step further and going from a day hike to an overnighter and eventually to a backpacking trip or a long distance hike. And a lot of people always ask me, well, how come that Ravi is so relaxed in the tent? As soon as I open the tent, he goes in, he lays flat, and he's fast asleep. And that is because I have built it up very slowly. As soon as I got Ravi, I just put out the tent in the backyard and just make that tent fun. And that's very important to do. Make sure that the tent is a fun place for your dog. Just go sit in front of your tent to start with, and just do something by reading a book, or and every now and then when your dog is paying attention to you, you pay attention to the tent. So if you're sitting in front of the tent, so let's say this leaf here is my tent. Let's see if you can see it. Yeah, this leaf is my tent, and I see that my dog is looking towards me. I'm going to put interest in the tent, and oh yeah, oh wow, let's see, wow. And it sounds a little bit stupid maybe, but it really triggers the curiosity of your dog, and the chances are bigger than your dog will be coming towards the tent as well, because he wants to see what you're so excited about. And when you come to the point that you have that you have your dog excited for the tent on the outside, go a step further. Go sit in your tent by yourself. Do the same thing. Read a little bit, write a little bit, whatever you would like to do, draw a little bit. And same thing, when your dog pays attention to you, make sure that you're paying attention to the tent. And you might need eyes in your back head by then, but it absolutely pays off. And the moment that your dog shows any interest, just make a party out of it. Throw treats in the tent if your dog is willing to go in there, or in front of the tent if your dog is hesitant to come in but stays in front of your tent. Just throw out some treats and make sure that the tent becomes a place to party, and then you can build it up, and then one day your dog will have the switch in there to think that tent, that means party. And when your dog has come to that point that he thinks, yeah, party time, the tent's up, then you're going to sleep in the tent for the first time. And don't go anywhere. Sleep in your back garden. I always say that word wrong. Sleep in your back garden. And when that goes right, go to a campsite 1 village away. Do not force it. Do not go out backpacking straight away. Just build it up slowly. And then your dog will be just as comfortable in the tent as Ravi is. And there are always exceptions, of course, so always keep an eye on your dog, and if you see that he absolutely does not like it, then accept that this is not your dog's thing. What you can also do to help your dog, whether you are staying in a tent, a hostel, a hotel, or a hiker's hut, whatever, is to make sure that there are things in the tent that remind your dog of home. So if your dog, for example, has a favorite toy, bring it. Make sure that your dog have it. Well, it might be a little bit of extra weight in your backpack, but you're not going to feel it on the kilos that you are having anyway. So make sure that if your dog loves a specific toy, which obviously isn't too big, you're not going to take a football out on the trail, but just a tiny little toy. And if you prefer having a little toy, especially for out on the trail, make sure that your dog gets to know it at home already. And once your dog is enthusiastic about that one specific toy, you can use it as your special backpacking toy. And the same goes for the place where your dog is sleeping. Ravi is always sleeping in a sleeping bag, as you can always see in our videos. And that sleeping bag is something he gets used to at home. I have it laying on my bed. Yes, Ravi sleeps on my bed, nice and cozy. And I have it laying on the other half of my bed. So Ravi is always familiar with that sleeping bag. He sleeps on it, I sleep against it, so it smells for him. It smells like himself, it smells to me, like me, it smells like home for him. And same with, for example, when you're having a blanket. This blanket is always on my couch at home. That this one could be taken out on the trail as well when you go out backpacking, just to make sure that your dog feels at home, because he knows the blanket. It is the blanket he's always laying on at home. It smells like home. It smells like maybe other dogs that you have at home. So it reminds your dog at home and of home, and that makes it that they settle way more easier, because things are familiar for them. And it's not that you're going into the tent and you're taking out gear that you only use out on the tent, so that every time again it is new for your dog. Because Ravi doesn't care. He has several sleeping bags in the meantime, and he absolutely doesn't care whether I'm taking the rough wear one or the Alcott one. He does not care at all, because he notices and he learned by time that in the tent is being fun. But if your dog is struggling, make sure that you're taking the same gear all the time, so it gets familiar to your dog. And when your dog is struggling a bit with being out on a backpacking trip, make sure that you take a lot of things as they are at home, like I mentioned. So for example, also with food, do not force your dog to eat new food out on the trail, because there is a lot of things going on in their head. They have to adjust to a lot of things, and the last thing that you want is having any digestion problems with your dog. Sure. So make sure that your dog is familiar with the food that you are feeding out on the trail. And Ravi does get other food out on the trail than he gets at home, because it's way lighter to take out for me. But I always make sure that Ravi eats that food on a regular basis as well at home, so he stays used to that, and I know that he always likes it. So make sure that you stay on that thing as well. It does save you the hustle of finding dog food out on the trail, and it saves your dog a lot of problems as well. So I hope these tips were helpful to you if you are having a dog that is a little bit hesitant of going out on a day hike or a backpacking trip with you. And I must say that I think it's absolutely worth it to invest the time in your dog and to make sure that he or she settles down on the trail, because it is so much fun. In my opinion, they are really the best buddies that you can have out in the outdoors. I know they do not talk back, but they give back so much to you. And you would like to have fun out on the trail, and that same applies to your dog. He or she, the only what he wants to do is have fun together with you, because as they sometimes say, a dog might not be the world, but you are the world to your dog. So make sure that the time out on the trail is enjoyable for the both of you. If you would like to have anything more information about this subject, feel free to contact me at any time. I would love to help you out, because I would be happy to see more people out on the trail with their dogs, and especially having fun, because unfortunately I see so many dogs who are clearly not having fun, because they are being forced, not being encouraged, not being treated for the things they do right. So make sure that you become the right dog owner that your dog needs. So hopefully this video was helpful to you. I'm hoping to be able to go out on the trail with Ravi again very soon. Fingers crossed that my foot injury will heal up very quickly. And so far I'd like to say, enjoy the outdoors. We'll catch you on the next trail. Goodbye.